When this young lad started experimenting with engines, nobody could have predicted that he would one day create some of the priciest automobiles in the world. Meet Frederick Henry Royce, born in 1863 in the small town of Wilton, England. Henry was the youngest of 5 siblings. His parents, James and Mary, owned a flour mill, but profits were meager, and the family struggled to make ends meet. Their financial woes worsened, and in 1867, they filed for bankruptcy. In the hopes of turning their fortunes around, the family relocated to London. At the age of 4, Henry had already taken up his first job, scaring birds on a local farm for 6 pence a week. But disaster struck again in 1872, as Henry's father passed away, leaving the children to fend for themselves. 9-year-old Henry started selling newspapers and delivering telegrams to support the family. Henry's impoverished childhood had a significant impact on him. By the time he turned 15, he had completed only 1 year of school. As a young teenager, he began an apprenticeship with the Great Northern Railway Works. Despite not having a formal education, he took every opportunity to educate himself, studying algebra, French, and electrical engineering in his free time. However, he was forced to quit after 3 years due to a lack of funds. After leaving his apprenticeship, Henry briefly worked at a tool-making company in Leeds and then the Electric Light and Power Company in London. But his true ambition was to make engineering his full-time job. But wait! Before we dive into today's topic, we have an exciting announcement to make. At the age of 22, he partnered with his fellow engineer, Ernest Claremont, to start F.H. Royce & Company. The company expanded rapidly, and by 1894, they were already making electric cranes. However, Henry's interest had started to shift towards motor cars. Although he played a critical role in the Rolls-Royce story, the brand's name suggests that there is another person who is equally important, Charles Stuart Rolls. Charles was born in 1877 in the affluent neighborhood of Berkeley Square, London, the youngest child of Lord and Lady Languedoc. With a passion for engineering from an early age, he studied mechanical engineering at Trinity College, Cambridge. He stood out for his love of tinkering with engines and earned himself the nickname, Dirty Rolls. During his studies, he was the first undergraduate to own a motor car, a Peugeot Phaeton, which he bought during a trip to Paris at the age of 18. This was highly unusual at the time since most people had never even heard of cars. After graduating in 1898, Charles worked on a steam yacht and then at the London and Northwestern Railway. However, he was more interested in motoring, pioneering, and salesmanship. With financial support from his father, he opened one of the first car dealerships in Britain in 1903, naming it C.S. Rolls & Co. For the next few years, he imported and sold Peugeot and Minerva cars, dedicating himself to his passion. Charles utilized the revenue from his prosperous enterprise to support his love for sports. Besides being an enthusiastic automobile pioneer and racer, he also had a fervent passion for aviation, and as you might expect, both hobbies were quite expensive. However, Charles's lifelong passion would ultimately cost him more than just his finances. While managing his company, F.H. Royce & Company, Henry became increasingly fascinated with automobiles. In 1901, he sought to enhance a second-hand 2-cylinder Decaval car that he had acquired. But he desired more, and so he chose to construct his own vehicle. Henry had an innate aspiration for perfection, and after discovering construction flaws in the Decaval, he vowed to do better. By the end of 1903, he had designed and constructed his first petrol engine. The following year, he drove his first Royce 10-horsepower motor car into town. Now, 20 years had passed since Henry established the company. His first car was a success, and he set out to create another, then another. Of the 3 cars he had constructed, he gave one to his business partner, Ernest Claremont, and sold the other to one of their shareholders, Henry Edmunds. It was this Henry Edmunds who would ultimately arrange the fateful meeting between Rolls and Royce. Henry Edmunds was a shareholder in Royce's company and a friend of Rolls. After purchasing one of Royce's automobiles, he boasted about it to Rolls, who was frustrated with only being able to sell foreign imports in his company. So, Edmunds set up a meeting. Little did Edmunds know that this encounter would change the future of motoring forever. Although Rolls had always preferred 3- and 4-cylinder cars, Royce's 2-cylinder vehicle made a big impression on him. Within minutes of seeing it, he knew he had found what he was looking for. He took the motor car for a drive and agreed on the spot to sell as many motor cars as Royce could build. The two men made an unusual pair. Not only was there a significant age difference, but also a difference in their education and class. For instance, Royce was 41 years old, while Rolls was only 26. The young Rolls had received a fancy education at the prestigious Trinity College, whereas Royce's skills were primarily self-taught. And while Rolls spent his young adult years racing around in his fancy cars, Royce had been working hard to make ends meet. Would they be able to see eye to eye? While Henry Royce and Charles Rolls were two very different individuals, they made a great team. Their enormous success with the cars led to the creation of the Rolls-Royce Company in 1906. Then came the introduction of the six-cylinder Silver Ghost. Within a year, it was hailed as the world's best car. Impressive, but they also had Charles's partner to thank for it. Creating a brand necessitates vision, so while Henry and Charles were busy building and selling motor cars, it was Charles's partner, Claude Johnson, who assumed the role of managing director. He recognized the importance of expanding the company's reputation and was a publicity genius. He orchestrated a series of stunts to promote the quietness and reliability of Rolls-Royce motor cars. One of his early advertisements for the 40 to 50 horsepower motor car promoted it as the six-cylinder Rolls-Royce, not just one of the best but the best car in the world. With that advertisement, Claude introduced the phrase that would forever be linked with Rolls-Royce. It was incredibly effective, demonstrating Rolls-Royce's superior performance and creating a global demand for their world-class engineering. Claude was so integral to the company's success that he gained the nickname of the hyphen in Rolls-Royce, owing to his crucial role in the company's success. Naturally, relying solely on marketing efforts can only take a business so far. Both Henry Royce and Charles Rolls dedicated themselves to delivering the highest quality possible, with Henry in particular pushing himself to the limit when it came to work. Renowned as a hard worker, Henry was known to neglect proper nutrition, which unfortunately severely affected his health. However, he would go on to outlive his business partner Charles by several decades. Over the years, Charles's fascination with aviation only grew. He even attempted to persuade Henry to design an aero engine, but Henry refused to continue living out his aviation dreams. Charles purchased a Wright Flyer aircraft with which he made over 200 flights. In 1910, he became the first person to make a non-stop double flight across the English Channel. However, just 1 month later, everything changed. During a flying display at Bournemouth, Charles was killed in an air crash at the young age of 32. He became the first Briton to die in a plane crash, and his untimely death meant the end of the short-lived Rolls-Royce partnership. Now, Henry would have to carry on their legacy alone. With an innate work ethic and innovative designs, Henry established Rolls-Royce's reputation for superior engineering and quality. He uncompromisingly adhered to his basic principle of establishing the best design with both the finest materials and the highest levels of craftsmanship. To put it in his own words, strive for perfection in everything you do. Take the best that exists and make it better. When it does not exist, design it. During the First World War, the company expanded into manufacturing aero engines, fulfilling Charles's once requested design. Over the next couple of decades, the company thrived. However, Henry continued to struggle with his health, and in 1933, he passed away from digestive tract problems. His premature death was brought on by his early years of poor nutrition and a lifetime of overwork. Despite this, he spent much of his last years as a semi-invalid, but his never-failing enthusiasm and dedication to engineering prevailed. He continued to work until the very last moment, with his final sketch made from his deathbed a few hours before he passed away at the age of 70. Today, Rolls-Royce remains a renowned name in engineering. Rolls-Royce cars are some of the most luxurious and expensive cars in the world, with over 130 dealerships across 40 countries. The brand is still primarily known for producing the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, Ghost, Phantom, Wraith, and Dawn. Torsten Müller-Ötvös has been the CEO since 2010, and his leadership has proven to be essential to the company's success. However, it was the vision of Sir Henry Royce and Sir Charles Rolls that truly made Rolls-Royce what it is today, a symbol of pure and unadulterated wealth. It's safe to say that the two men would be proud of the legacy they left behind. If you have already heard of the many people involved in Rolls-Royce's history, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, Be sure to check out our channel for more inspiring business content.